again. I'm gonna show you the picture I found in just 2 seconds. So it's it looks very easy, but it might be a little bit tricky. So we're gonna paint just a sea stain. Sorry. So this is the picture we're gonna do today. We're gonna paint the sea and the sky. So you can take your pictures now.
Okay.
影相，大家影相。蒋荣，今天我们画的画是这个画，你可以拍照啦。OK， 唔該晒收音機。傾影相啊，影相，快啲影相！我哋今日畫呢幅畫。
So lots of blues in this picture. I'm gonna go over the blues in just a minute.
We can dream of a summer holiday.
Yeah. Especially with the weather today here in Calgary.
I think they have. Okay, still taking. I can see some people still taking pictures.
Okay.
You have.
So, if you notice in the picture, this blue has a little bit of a turquoise tint, or if you don't have that color, you can add just a little bit of yellow. So let's get started. So it depends on what kind of blue you have. So a lot of you may have, let me show you. So some of you may have this color, which is a darker blue. This works just fine. Some of you may have a lighter blue or a brighter blue. This is fine as well. If you have this one, you just add more white to get to this one. If you have a package with more colors, if you purchase that, if you have any kind of fun blues or other shades of blue, like this one says turquoise, and this one is, I think it's the same as that one, tropical blue. You don't need this, but if you do have other kind or other types of blue, you're welcome to use them. So for our palette, the first thing we're gonna do is the sky. So let me just grab my canvas. So for today's painting, I'm gonna use the entire sheet. So if you have this darker blue, show you here. So we're gonna do the sky first. If you have the darker blue, you're gonna add white. So if you have this blue, put white. if you have this other lighter blue, no need to add white in the beginning. And we're gonna paint the entire sky. As we go down, we're gonna add white. So if you want, you can let me get started so you can see where you want to end up. So if you have this kind of blue, the lighter blue, you don't need to mix it on the palette. You can put it directly here. So let me show you. So for the sky, you want to use the biggest brush you have, a flat brush. So if you have this lighter blue, you can just put a few dots. So at the top, and then we're gonna put white. As we go down, we put more white.
I'm just going to repeat that in Chinese for some of them.
Yes.
祥荣啊，祥荣，你知道老师讲什么吗？如果你的蓝色比较深一点哈，如果你的蓝色比较深一点，你就要加白色。如果你的蓝色没有这么深，是浅浅的，你就不用加白色。
If you happen to have the darker,
好啊，好。
Okay. If you happen to have the darker blue, you don't have this one, that's okay. You can just grab it and add white. And I get the same blue. So this color, you put it on the top. So before I start painting, I want to put lots of white at the bottom and lots of blue at the top. So when I mix it, the blue will get lighter as I go down. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. And I like to start at the bottom and go down. And left to right. I'm gonna add a bit more blue. Don't be afraid to put lots of paint. I added a little bit of that darker blue at the top, but as I mix it, it'll just blend. And you want to do this fast before the paint dries. It'll be harder as it dries. If your paint is drying, you can get your brush wet. So put a little bit of water.
梅老师，给你了的，那我得，那我今天我看我没有材料，我就今天就下来了，不上了吧，好吧？好，哎，我开着，我把那个视频开着，看他怎么弄。他这个纸就是你用的这个纸是吧？好的，谢谢你啊，好。
And I'm adding white directly onto my painting. So the sky is gonna go down, probably down to here. The faster you do it, the easier it's going to be. So the faster you're mixing your colors, don't let it dry. Mine dried here at the top, so I have to add a little bit more. Okay, and I'm happy with my sky. And I'm gonna clean my brush. So make sure you see the difference. If it's too close together, you want to see the difference in colors. And like I said, the faster you do it, the easier it is going to be. And so our next color, it is going to be the sea here. So if you look at your picture, this part will be very dark, a dark blue. This next section, it is going to be more like a turquoise blue with a little bit of, so blue with a little bit of yellow, more like this color. If you have this color or something similar, you can use it. If you don't, we can just mix it. We'll add just a little bit of yellow to the blue. So that will be this section. And then the bottom is very light, almost white. So for the first part, I think we should mix all our colors on our palette first. So once we put it here, they're wet and we can easily blend it. So let's do that. We're gonna mix. So the first color is dark blue. If you have this kind of blue, darker blue, you can use that one. If you don't and you have the light one, you can just add just a drop of black, and I'll show you both ways. Let me just grab another palette here. So this is our color number 1. Have it on the side. If you don't have that dark blue, you can just take your regular blue and we're gonna add a tiny bit of black. You can also add orange if you have orange. And when you paint this, leave a little space here. Look at the picture you took. So I'm just adding blue and a little bit of black. It's easier if you mix, you have orange and just add orange, it'll look nicer. But if you already have a darker blue, use that one. So dark blue is our first color, which I have right here, this blue. Our second color is turquoise. So if you have this color, you can use it. Most of you don't have it. So that's okay. So this is our second color. We'll try to mix a similar color by adding a little bit of yellow. And I'll show you here. So you want to have your 3 blues before you start painting. So I have a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to take my blue. I put it on the side. If you put too much yellow, it'll look green. It's just a little bit. And I'm going to also add white.
Ina, can you please, show us how to mix it, please?
Yeah. So I have my regular blue. I add white and yellow. It'll never look exactly because these neon colors it's very hard to mix them exactly, but you get a similar color, which is close enough for our purpose. So you see here, it's very similar. So to mix this color, I have blue, white, and yellow. I'm gonna do this fast before my paint dries, but you can take your time. Make sure you mix quite a bit of paint so you have enough, because mixing again, the color will be different. So far we have a dark blue and a blue with a little bit of yellow. And the last color, it's going to be, sorry, let me check my picture here. I think we can leave this just white. Or actually, I'm gonna use a little bit of this regular blue. So the way I'm gonna put it in my palette is the dark blue will go at the top, then my light blue. If you only have this blue, you can add white. If you only have this lighter blue, this one at the top, you can add black to make it darker. So again, you have a dark blue, let's say a regular blue, this one at the top, and a yellow blue. So I'm gonna try to do this quickly before my paint dries. It'll be easier as you see the colors on the palette. So my dark blue at the top. Initially, I don't worry too much about blending. I'm just putting the colors where I want them to be. Then I'm gonna go with I'm gonna grab another brush for now. And I'm gonna go with the regular blue or lighter blue. This blue. Straight from the bottle, basically. And now I'm gonna use my turquoise blue, or the blue with yellow. And it's already drying on my palette, so you have to be quick. And at the bottom, I'm gonna put just white. So again, right now I'm just putting the colors I mix in my palette, and then I can start mixing. Once I'm done with one color, you don't need to wash your brush, but maybe just remove the excess paint on your palette. So you want to leave this space white, but if a little bit of paint goes over there, that's okay. So you see the key is make sure you have your colors ready and then just put them where they're going to be on your canvas, and then you blend them together. Because if we did just the blue first here and then we mix this one, by the time we paint, it's going to be dry and it's not going to blend as nicely. I'm just gonna remove this a little bit and just do the bottom here. The bottom needs more white. Almost pure white. And I will recommend just doing it in one step. If we start to add more colors, so going back and forth, it's a little bit harder because you have to add, let's say I add the dark blue, then I need to add the other two so they look okay. So yeah, just one take, let's say. Just adding a little bit more turquoise here, more blue here. if my brush, I'm going up and my brush is too light now, I remove it, remove the excess. Let's grab more paint. Now I'm just grabbing that dark blue. And we're gonna make sure our line at the top is very straight. And I'm going to add a tiny bit more white here at the bottom. I want to show it's quite light. Just pure white. Now I remove the excess on my brush. And blend it here. Okay, and I don't want to overdo it because it's going to get harder and harder the more layers you put on. So try to do one, maybe 2 layers. Again, you put the colors, the block of the colors where they're going to be first. And then don't worry too much about blending. And then after, you start blending it after you have all your colors here on your canvas. So if you're really having a hard time making this straight line, what you can do is wait for the sky to dry. Make sure it's nice and dry. And you can use this kind of tape and just put it like that. Make sure you really make sure it's nice and tight here, no air bubbles. And then you would paint your line here. And then after it dries, you will just remove it like that. And you will get a very straight line. I'm not gonna do it because my line is fairly straight. If you don't have tape, that's fine. You don't need to do it. Just do a very slow line. So now I'm just gonna add a little bit of white I have left here. And then I'm gonna clean my brush. So what I did there is I took a little bit of the dark blue and did the line here again. So I'm gonna wait for my painting to dry. I'm gonna wash the brushes. As always, as soon as you're done with one brush, you clean it so they live longer. So make sure you let your paint dry before the next step. We can wait 1 more minute for it to dry. Surely it dries very quickly. The next step, we're just going to paint this right here, and then the bushes over here. So my next 2 colors are going to be white and a dark yellow, kind of orangey, like sand. If you have orange, or sometimes that color is called, let me see what it's called. I have it in oils, but not in acrylic. This one right here, yellow ochre. So if you have something close to this color, use it. I don't. This is oil paint, so I'm gonna mix it. So it'll be a dark yellow. And from our color wheel, we know that to make yellow darker, we would add the opposite color. So the opposite color on our wheel, it's purple. So the opposite of yellow is purple. So I am going to mix the purple first. And then add it to the yellow. So I'm gonna take blue, any kind of blue is fine, and red. So whenever I mix blue and red, gives me a purple-ish color. This is purple, dark purple, and that's okay. I don't know if you can see it. So red and blue gives me purple. And now I have my yellow here. I'm gonna add a little bit of purple to this yellow. It looks too green, which means if it's too green, it means there was a lot of blue. So I'm gonna add another dot of red. I know sometimes mixing colors can be confusing, but you can always continue to fix your color.
Hi May, what happened if I don't have red?
If you don't have red, you can try adding a drop of black to your yellow. See if that makes it darker. We just want it a little bit darker.
Okay,
So it's blue, red, and yellow together?
Yes, correct. But a lot of yellow and just a little bit of the other two colors.
did you say lots of yellow and a little bit of black and what else?
If you're putting black, just do black. Don't put anything else.
Okay, thank you.
So this is now my dark yellow. You see, this is what it was before. Now, so to make my yellow darker, I look at the color wheel, and the color wheel tells me the opposite of yellow is purple. So I'm just adding the purple to the yellow. If you don't, I don't have purple, so I mix purple, which is blue and red. Gives me purple, and that color I add to the yellow. If when you add it, your color looks too green, then you just add a little bit of red to fix it. If your color looks too orange, you just add a little bit of blue to fix it. And I wouldn't worry too much about this color because it's gonna go a lot lighter. Once we paint, we're gonna put lots of white on it. I'm just gonna test it right here.
What if
Yeah.
it's too green?
Too green, then you add a little bit of red, just a little bit, and go slowly until you get the color you want. So you can see my color here.
It's still green. It's not brown at all.
Then you just add a little bit more red.
More red. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No
Now I
worries.
figure it out.
So for this color, I'm not gonna paint like this. I'm just gonna first put the color at the bottom here. It is going to look a lot lighter. And now I'm just gonna do this quickly before my paint dries, but you can take your time.
It's
And
still
I'm gonna-
very dark. How can I make it lighter like your color?
Then you just add more yellow or more white or both.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting lighter now. Okay, thank you.
No worries. So I'm just adding lots of white. On my canvas. I'm not worried about how to paint. I'm just putting my colors on the canvas so I can mix them there. And for this, we're not gonna paint left to right. We're gonna dab, 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 dab like this. So I leave the texture on the canvas. And we're gonna cover the areas that we need to cover here. If your brush gets dirty with another color like blue or something, just wipe it off. And you can add a little bit of water to on your brush if it's starting to dry. and white. I prefer mixing lots of paint initially, even if I have leftovers, just because it's when you're mixing colors, it's hard to get the same color every time. So I just like to mix all at once. Now I ran out of paint. Now it looks a little bit different, but that's okay. I'm just gonna use it and I'll add white after. Oops. I'm just gonna turn my painting sideways for 2 seconds. And I'm just adding pure white here at the top. As I go on, it's gonna start to mix. This is why you need to have your colors ready so they mix. Okay. I'm gonna wipe my brush and clean it.
And go to my jewelry chica, I box chica.
Once you're done with this color, you're gonna wash your brushes. Now we're gonna paint the bushes over here. So we're gonna be using green, dark green. Okay, so we're gonna go with the next color. If you look at the reference picture, it's darker green. So we're gonna mix it. If you have green, you can use it. I'm just gonna mix it. So I have blue and yellow. So I just take a little bit of blue and yellow. Sorry. I'm gonna mix more. And I'm gonna add a tiny drop of red. I don't know if you remember from last time we painted, but when I want to make a green darker, I just add a tiny bit of red. Okay. So that's my green, maybe a little bit more yellow so it looks more greenish. And the island goes all the way to here. If you want, you can put tape here so you cover the ocean. I'm not going to do that. And oh, don't paint like that. You tap, tap, tap. At the bottom, you can make more of a line so your line is straight. Then you go back to dabbing here. And now I'm gonna take yellow and I mix it with the green. More yellow than green. And then I will just do a few highlights here and there. Very light pressure on your brush. So what I did here is I connected the green with the sand. So I just took a little bit of white here and I followed the curve here and went to the island or to the green area. And we're gonna let that dry and then we will do our final step. So for our final step, you're gonna need just pure white. And I don't know if you remember the time we did mountains. I'm gonna show you what I want you to do. So make sure your brush is clean, and if it's dry, even better. And you grab white just on one side and just with the tip of the brush, just like that. And the way I'm going to put it on the canvas, I'm not going to paint like that, like I usually do. I'm going to grab my brush like that, is parallel to the canvas, and I'm going to very, very gently, barely touching the canvas, put the white on. So I'm going to start here at the bottom here. So on the side, barely touching it.
The side that has paint,
Yeah.
barely touching the paper. Okay.
Yes. I'm gonna grab another brush because this is angled, so that doesn't work for me. So the idea is that you put very, very, so when you paint like this, as you go through it, you're gonna see that there will be spaces where there's no paint. That's what you want. So paint on the tip of my brush, on the side, or doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be on like this, but as long as it's parallel to the canvas, that's fine. If you happen to have more art materials and you happen to have one of these, you can also use these. These are a lot easier. So I'm just going to show you just in case you have one of these, but you do not need them. So I just put the paint on the bottom and barely touch the canvas. If you use these, you're gonna leave more spaces in between the white areas, which is what we want. So this is easier, but if you don't have it, keep going with the brushes, the same technique. Gonna go back to the brush. If you have a flat brush, it works better. As you run out of paint on your brush, you can do the lines up here. Very thin lines at the top. And lots here at the bottom here, even going over the sand. And along the edge here. Don't be afraid to leave a thick layer of paint. So the less you think about it, the better it'll turn out. Just very gently, almost or like barely touching the canvas. It sounds harder than what it actually is. And I think I'm done with my painting. So once you're done, remember to sign and date. No need to write the entire date. I like to do just the year. And once you're done, remember to show us your painting. And remember to take a picture and send it to us. Oh, wow, that's very nice, Tui. Wow, I love your blues. Veronica, that's beautiful. I love the white, the waves. That's very nice. Wow, Kathy, that's very nice too. I love